Well, Formula One, the pinnacle of motorsport, is just a single-player game, isn't it? Well, not always. There is a two-seater car for demonstrations, but what if I said that there was a five-seat Formula One car? Welcome to the Mercedes-Benz GLC63 SE Performance. A really long name and perhaps a really long bow to draw to say that this is a five-seat F1, but let's jump in and go for a drive, and I'll explain. Formula One inspired technology comes in all shapes and sizes these days, and it's worth noting that the AMG GLC63 SE Performance not only has a very long name, but is available in both a wagon and coupe body style. Under the bonnet is a 2-litre turbocharged 4-cylinder petrol engine with 350 kilowatts and 545 newton meters available. This is paired with a 6.1 kilowatt hour lithium-ion battery and a 150 kilowatt 320 newton meter electric motor on the rear axle. That all combined can provide a combination of up to 500 kilowatts and 1020 newton meter output. Note too that the turbocharger is also electrically activated, all but eliminating response lag. Performance is then impressive, with a 3.5 second 0 to 100 km/h sprint time. The GLC63 is all-wheel drive and provides both active anti-roll stabilisation and four-wheel steering that, along with adaptive suspension damping, allow the 2,310 kilogram SUV to feel more nimble and sprightly than its weight may suggest. Like other GLC variants, the 63 offers plenty of space and technology for the whole family, and only really makes its performance position clear with the option of performance seats and the inclusion of the AMG dials on the steering wheel. There are 11 colour choices, with more than half offered at no additional cost, plus the option of AMG aerodynamics package or ceramic brakes if you want to wind the sporting clock up even further. All of this does carry a bit of cost though, with pricing starting from $192,900 before on-road costs for the SUV wagon and $199,500 for the coupe. Now here you go. Normally this is the time we do a walk around to the car and I move seats and open the boot and do all that, but this is, well, like I said, Formula One inspired performance SUV. So the best way to really describe this car and to kind of get to know it better is to get out on the road. And well, we're doing so initially in comfort mode because realistically, a car like the GLC63, you're going to drive it around town more than anything. And so this is where you really get to understand why this hybrid drivetrain works so well in so many different ways in this car. We know that performance SUVs are a thing, and quite often the cars are on so much more than they are off. And you can have a car that will absolutely tear it up. It will be a very impressive machine on the roads. But as soon as you need to do something kind of ordinary and slow, like regular life, going to work, dropping the kids, going to the shops, they become a bit of a handful. Not so the new 63 SE Performance, and it is a really long name. We'll probably just call it the GLC63 from this point on. But the idea that with the hybrid driveline, you can go into a full EV mode, and you can with the switch here on the wheel. You can basically rotate that around to do it. And what's actually kind of handy right now, and I'm going to go into the settings so I can see it on the screen while we're driving, is I don't have enough charge in my high voltage battery to run the car for full EV. So the car's gone into a recuperation mode. It's nice and quiet, it's nice and easy. But this being a plug-in hybrid, you may say, well, James, you've got to stop it and plug it in and have a cup of coffee and wait 10 hours and do whatever you need to do. Not so. I just switch it to Sport Plus. And not only does it sound a little bit more fun, it is now actively recharging that battery. And what that means is that you can, yes, this is a plug-in hybrid, you can plug it in at night so you have that full battery charge every morning ready to rock and roll. But if you want to recharge that battery while you're out on the road and you want to utilize the capability of the car, you can actually force recharge it by simply driving around in Sport Plus mode. So that's kind of a benefit, really. Now, the key thing too is going slow and going silently in this car is just simply one of the arrows in its quiver, so to speak, and it just makes it a bit easier. If you are sneaking out of the driveway to go and play golf, if you are wanting to just putt around to the shops, it is a very, very easy and tractable vehicle, like the GLC in all of its other interpretations. GLC300 is a brilliant car. It does so much. It offers all that equipment, all that practicality. None of that has been removed out of the GLC63. So the standard usability and form factor of this car that you're sort of going into wanting, that retains, and that easiness of driving slowly is very much retained because you can drive with the full electric power. But that doesn't make for a really exciting video, and that's not really why you're going to be spending pretty close to $200,000 on this thing, because you're buying a GLC63 because, well, 63 means the best in terms of performance, and so performance is what you get. Right, well, let's clear off some numbers on the GLC63. You've got that 2-litre turbocharged 4-cylinder that we know from the A45. It's obviously been redone. We've seen it in the C63S. You've got that electrically actuated turbocharger, which is the Formula One inspired technology that basically means that you've got no reason to wait for boost pressures and all sorts of mechanical rationale as to when your turbo spools up to full speed. It just simply comes on. That's mated to obviously an electric starter generator plus a rear electric motor on the back axles. You've got rear axle steering here, 9-speed G-tronic sequential, or the AMG transmission, so it's nice and fast. But the power outputs are ridiculous. It is combination between the two systems, a maximum of 500 kilowatts and 1,020 Newton meters. It's bonkers, really. And what is interesting, yes, this thing is a bit heavier. This is about 200 kilos. It's 2310 kilos. So it's about 200 kilos heavier than the C63 sedan. It's about 300 kilos heavier than the GLC43, so the non-hybrid GLC. Where you don't notice that weight is going forwards quickly. Where you do notice that weight is under some braking, but I'll touch on that again in a second. The idea that this car can do all these amazing things with those crazy numbers, what it can do is quite astonishing. And we'll just wait for the traffic to clear, and I'll let the thing off the chain a little bit, and I'll show you what it can do. Now, here's a bit of science for you. So how does it all work? The battery pack in this car is only quite small. I think it's only about 6 kilowatt hours. You get a maximum of around 14 kilometers of full electric driving mode. So it's enough to sort of, get to the local milk bar. But it basically all works in concert with the petrol engine. This is designed to be a hybrid more than it's designed to be an EV. And so around town, putting around in comfort mode, using the battery and using the engine as intended, you'll be seeing 7 litres per 100. Coming out of Brisbane earlier, I was around 7.5 litres per 100 in traffic, which is pretty good for a car like this, especially with this weight. Out on a more spirited drive, that will go up. And basically the amount of fuel that you use is entirely up to you. If you want to go into sport mode or track mode or whatever, and basically gas it everywhere, you're going to use more petrol, but it is a bit more fun. However, the car will constantly work with both the internal combustion and the electrical system to change what it's doing. And you can run a diagram and a sort of an illustration here on the screen that showcases exactly what it's doing at every single moment in time, which makes it actually really, really interesting, because you can see if you're driving along a straight stretch of road and you come off the throttle, you can see the disconnection between the motor and the internal combustion engine at the front and the electric motor at the back, because the car's saying, you don't need all-wheel drive right now, we're on a straight stretch of road, I'm going to reduce friction, I'm going to go for a more efficient setting to do what you need to do. And this all happens like that instantly. And it's that kind of, I guess, non-thinking from the driver's perspective. You don't need to try and program this car to do what you need to do, although there is horrendous amounts of configurability that you have. The car will work out what it needs to do at every step of the way, and it will optimize itself for the setting that you've given it. If you're in comfort, it'll optimize for the most comfortable. If you're in Sport Plus, it will optimize for the most performance-oriented setting that you choose. And that's what makes this car so impressive, especially as an SUV, because it can now do everything. So find yourself a little bit of tarmac that doesn't have traffic and slow drivers and roadworks and things on it, and you'll start to see why the GLC63, well, why it's kind of asking $200,000 and why it really is still worthy of that 63 badge, being the pinnacle of what the Mercedes-Benz badge hierarchy can offer without necessarily being a V12. And so the way that we're working through this now, the car is constantly deciding what we want. Now we're on an 80 kilometre an hour road. We can't really do too much. Oh, it's opening up to 100 here. The flexibility that we have and the grip that we have, so we're able to go around posted corner guidance at well above where it is, under the limit, but above the guidance, without even hinting that this car is close to or approaching a limit of grip. And the the performance, and I'll wait for a corner here where I've got a bit of an open road ahead of me, and you can see just as you come out, it explodes out of a corner. It is unbelievably fast, and it's almost disconcertingly quick that you can be quite docile, and then it winds it on, and you can hear the engine working, you can hear the pops and crackles coming from that exhaust at the back. The way that this thing just hooks up and you get a little bit of a wiggle there, it is unbelievably quick. But the best thing is it doesn't kind of run out of ability. It's fast, and then you back off. The car's like, no, I've got more gears, I've got more power, I've got more ability. You run out of road and legality and all sorts of things well and truly before the car runs out of capability. And in the family SUV, I tell you what, this makes it so much fun. Now watch this. Like, wow is all I could say. And I think the best bit about this, and Mercedes did it so well back with the original GLA45, is you had the A45, that pocket rocket hot hatch, but it was very stiff and it was very sharp over everything. The GLA lifted things up a bit, so you had just a little bit more compliance from the suspension. That's what the GLC does over the C63. You've got a car that now can handle imperfections in the road. It can handle bumps. It can handle divots and crossings and things. And it does so in a way that still feels incredibly sure-footed underneath, but it does it so that you can still enjoy this car and you can enjoy its capability of performance without stressing. And I think you can see there's a big smile on my face. This is not a stressful car. This is a highly entertaining car. And where I said with the GLC43 that car was, what did I say? It was entertaining but not exciting. All of a sudden, you've got yourself a bit of excitement back in the picture. And I tell you what, this thing's pretty good. All right, well, I've calmed down now. We've had a bit of fun. We've gone through it. So the key takeaway so far is that 2-litre turbocharged 4-cylinder and Formula One inspired electrically operated turbocharger and rear electric motor as a hybrid synergy system. It is an amazingly impressive piece of science and engineering that basically realizes itself as an incredibly tactile performance device. This is an explosive device that you can fit the whole family to. And I've introduced this video as saying it's a 5-seat Formula One car. Okay, maybe taking a few liberties there, but I tell you what, it really is an incredibly capable machine. So for numbers fans out there, it is a 350 kilowatt output from the petrol engine, 545 Newton meters. The rear motor has 80 kilowatts, but it has a maximum of 150 kilowatts in a 10-second boost mode, like in a computer game. That's that combination. 500 kilowatts and 1,020 Newton meters. That's a kilonewton of torque. It is astonishing. Now, of course, you can buy the GLC63 as a wagon SUV or as a coupe SUV. It's a bit more. I think it's about $7,000 or $8,000 more for the coupe over the wagon. For the GLC43, I suggested the coupe as being the choice. For the 63, I reckon I'm going back to the wagon. You can get an Edition 1 car that has some extra aero. You can obviously get them as options. There are 2 seat options. We're in the, I think we've got sports seats in this car. There are comfortable seats as well. I would always recommend in an SUV, even a performance-oriented one like this, to get the comfort seats because that's what you're buying the car for. It's not a race car. So that would be the way I would option it. Some pretty cool colors to come through. All the standard Mercedes-Benz colors are a no-cost choice. If you get into the Designios, I think there is a bit of an extra on those. But it looks good in pretty much everything. It is a cool looking car. It is a bit of a sleeper. It doesn't get the fat front arches that you do on the new C63 sedan, which I think is a bit of a pity. But that said, to change all that bodywork on the GLC, I get it why they haven't done it, and it does make this car blend in just that little bit more. But it is definitely worth having a test drive of this thing, because if you've come in, and we'll talk about it in just a second, about the elephant in the room, or the elephant under the bonnet as it was, if you come into this car and dismiss it because it hasn't got a V8, you are truly missing out. You need to drive this car and really, really see what this technology can do and work out how you're going to use this car. And I tell you what, I reckon the new SE hybrid variant of the C63 is going to answer more of your questions than the V8, as wonderful it was, ever did. Now apparently you can put this thing into launch control mode, where when it sets off so violently, it sets off the rear parking sensors because the car squats so much as it launches away. That's a pretty cool party trick. Not one that I would recommend trying on a public road, but if you have a private road, racetrack, or really long driveway, it might be worth giving that one a shot. Well, the 5-seat Formula One thing may have been a step too far, but as you saw, this thing is a bucket of fun. It is a tremendously flexible platform that allows you to go slow and fast within the same sort of microsecond. Now, why have I got it exploded like that? Well, because normally, again, I'd show you the back seat, the boot, and all the bits and pieces. If you've seen the GLC, whether the 300 or the 43, then you've seen the inside of this car. That's the benefit of the 63. You've got all of that performance and all of that tech in that well-formed, very, very usable platform. Still highly spec'd, still able to fit the whole family inside, still able to fit the Labrador in the boot, or the sausage dog if you've got one of those like I do. The idea that this is going to be an everyday car is really what works. But before we sign off, there are two little things that I will show you on this that do make a bit of a difference. One's under the bonnet, and one sits right in front of you from behind the wheel. Now, I've sort of glossed over the interior of the GLC63 because it is the same as the other GLCs. We know the same tablet-style MBUX screen here, the same digital instrument display, but what you do get, like in all AMG models, are the two rotating dials here at the bottom of the steering wheel. And I think in this car, which has so many Jekyll and Hyde differences between its comfort and its Sport and its Sport Plus and its race and its individual and its electric and the other drive modes, knowing and using these dials is probably the thing that changes the way that you use this car. And what you'll find is that you can drive not taking your eyes off the road and quickly adjust the settings from either comfort to Sport Plus or whatever you're doing to adapt on the fly. And you may find that you're not just leaving it in a setting, you're moving from comfort to sport or to race. As the driving conditions change, it becomes second nature just to adjust that on the go. And I think these, as an inclusion on a car like this that does require you to be involved as a driver, it makes life so much easier. And I think if you haven't tried a recent AMG with these, they are actually really cool to be able to get shortcuts to some of the settings where you can move from sport or comfort, suspension and other bits and pieces. But just simply that twist to go from comfort to more aggressive drive modes makes life pretty easy. So as I said, the elephant in the room, or the elephant that's under the bonnet, is the one thing that we haven't really spoken about. I know everyone else is going to compare this to the old V8 GLC63. The noise that thing made, it was a bit of a family hot rod. But I think what you need to do to really understand and appreciate this car, as I said from behind the wheel, you do need to test drive it. You do need to see what this performance is like yourself. But the idea that this can have this amazing 4-cylinder with what is a pretty enormous turbo strapped to the side, and all of that electrification underneath to give you that performance layer, you don't need a V8. It doesn't need to be the old car. You need to look at this and drive this and I guess understand this car for what it is and what it brings, rather than, well, what it isn't. And I think I'll leave you with that. If all you're looking for is a V8 and you want a Mercedes, there are other options in the range. You can still get a GLE, which has got it. But if you want the size and format of the GLC and you want the performance of a 63, what's under here doesn't actually matter at all. Let me know what you think in the comments below. And if you like this video, hit like, subscribe, the bell, standard kind of thing. But if you want to know everything you need to know about the GLC63, a full review, lots of details, lots more photos, head on over to Drive.com.au and you can probably catch this review and others on Channel 9 coming up soon.